Hey, what are you doing here? We drove to a park famous for plum blooming, and I met a woman who was pregnant. Surprisingly, she was picking through the garbage. And her clothes were in tatters, and she looked like she hadn't taken a bath for days. Besides, she was my son's wife, Taylor. Taylor, what's wrong with you? As soon as I called out to her, she shook her head and tried to run away, saying she had the wrong person. There was no way I could have mistaken her for anyone else, so I grabbed her by the arm and saw that she was scrawny and skinny. As I huffed, her stomach rumbled noisily. Honey, are you hungry? Would you like to have some? I took out my lunchbox and handed it to her. The person gulped, said in a fading voice, "Thank you," took the lunchbox as if to snatch it from me, and quickly left. I was stunned. No matter how I looked at her, she looked just like Taylor. Feeling sorry for her and somewhat concerned about a woman who looked just like Taylor, and she was pregnant and hungry, I took my phone out and called my son. Hi William, I just met Taylor at a park, takes about an hour from your house.
What? What are you talking about? She just had a baby. I was about to call you to tell you this.
Only a short time ago, he had a baby boy, and he's happily told me that he looked like himself, categorically denied that it was his wife. But there was still a month to go before the due date, wasn't there?
It's common for babies to be born early.
Even though it's her first baby? I was somewhat unaware of what was going on, so I pursued the matter.
Hey! Come on! Aren't you happy to have a grandson?
I'm not. I'm sorry.
Please stop saying weird things. There is a lot of people who look alike.
Of course, I was happy for the birth of my grandson, but on the other hand, I couldn't stop thinking about what I had just seen, and I told him that I had given that woman lunchbox.
What did you just do? It's like a scam, old lady. Don't ever go to that park again, or you'll get scammed again.
That's rude. How dare you? Even I yelled at him, but he didn't seem to care, and his voice was in a good mood. So, I'm not sure, but the truth is William and Taylor had baby, and the woman I saw in the park is not Taylor. I stopped talking with a look of utter amazement.
Maybe you finally started to blur because of my dad's retirement and you already turned to 63.
No, of course not. Never mind. I'm going to see the baby. I was so annoyed with the way he said that I ended the call with him and drove for about an hour. Taylor had told me the hospital where she was going to, so I arrived safely at our destination with the navigation system. Then William was waiting for me, scurrying around at the entrance of the hospital. Oh, you've waited for me.
Actually, Taylor isn't feeling well right now because it took me a long time to give him birth.
So, I can't see her right now. But since I had come all the way here, I can't leave without seeing the baby. William took me to the newborn room and showed me a glimpse of the baby through the glass. He's so cute.
Of course, that's because he's my son.
How is Taylor doing?
Well, she's fine, I think.
I understand that right after giving birth is really tired, so I didn't want to force them to see me, but somehow I was caught up with William's behavior. While I was preparing dinner after back to home, I found myself keep thinking about what happened at the park. Anyway, who the hell was that woman? Taylor's relative is only her father, so it doesn't seem that they are sisters or anything like that. Besides, I have met William and Taylor so many times, and they have been married for 3 years, so there was no way I could have mistaken them for Taylor. They say there are 3 people in the world who look exactly alike, so I knew it was the wrong person. I told myself, but then another question arose. Why the woman who is pregnant scavenging trash in the park? I was so concerned, and that makes me woke up early in the morning, so I decided to go to the park, hoping to see the woman who looked just like Taylor. However, I could not meet the pregnant woman, and although I went there several times after that, I never saw her again. More than 10 days later, on my way home after giving up on the idea that she might not be in the park anymore, I stopped at a convenience store. There she is. There she was, that woman who looked just like Taylor. But she was so hungry that she shoplifted a boxed lunch and was caught by the clerk, who grabbed her arm to prevent her from escaping. The clerk's angry voice, "I'll turn you into the police." She was so scared that she burst into tears. When I saw this, I quickly ran in front of her. "Oh, my God. I'm sorry. Did you get mistaken for a shoplifter?"
What?
"Excuse me. She forgot her wallet, so I've come to deliver it. I'll pay you right away." "How much is it?" When I took out my wallet, the clerk scratched his head and scolded me in a strong tone, "Don't behave in that way." The clerk finally agreed when I repeatedly apologized on behalf of the woman, who could do nothing but cry and bow her head. "Come on, let's go." I left the convenience store, and she honestly followed me.
Thank you.
She apologized in a voice so quiet that I almost missed it, but she was hungry again, and her stomach was growling. "You don't have to cry anymore. I'll give this to you. And let's have a little chat with me." For a moment, the woman looked hesitate, but I guess she couldn't resist her hunger. She nodded her head. Without saying a word, I asked her to sit on a bench in a nearby park and fed her bento, which she gobbled up with gusto and a mouth full of food. For all intents and purposes, she looked like Taylor. While I was checking on her, I found a familiar birthmark on her nape. It is shaped like a little distinctive flower. I have seen it when Taylor came to stay at our house, and she once told me that it was something she was born with. I can't believe she have the same birthmark in the same place as Taylor's, and even the same shape. I can't believe it's so coincidental. However, if she runs away again, that's it. I controlled my impatience so as not to provoke her. You're pregnant? Could it be that you are about to be in your last month?" I asked the woman, who nodded her head with a grain of rice on her cheek, why she was living like this, and she began to talk in a potty-mouthed way. As I asked questions that gradually got to the bottom of the matter, she told me that she was originally from the mountains, but had spent many days to reach the park and make a living. As I listened to her story, with a gentle smile on my face, the woman gradually began to open up to me. From there, I empathized with her and said to her, "I see. That was tough," I said to her. Then, she told me more about her situation, with tears in her eyes. I was so glad I had found this person. The more I listened to her story, the more I felt sorry for her, and moreover, I was astonished at the horrifying facts that were hidden there. "I can't leave you like this. You should come to my house." But she had a look of confusion on her face, as if to say that she had spoken inadvertently, and she began to tremble, holding her mouth shut. "I will make sure that you and your baby are not in any danger. Don't worry." I looked the woman straight in the eye and squeezed her hand, and she finally agreed, as if her feelings had been conveyed. Later, when I took her home, my husband was terribly surprised. But when I told him what had happened, He understood and said he wanted to help her somehow. Then he called to someone. And I've got some extraordinary information from my husband. A few days later, I called to William, thinking it was about time to see Taylor, who had given birth, left the hospital with baby. I'll go to your house with a baby shower gift.
Oh, well, Taylor is at her house now.
How come? There's no place to go back for Taylor, right? Then, William suddenly became impatient and spoke quickly.
What are you talking about? Mom, have you lost your mind? Seriously, are you really lost your mind?
Oh, did I make mistake? I opened the front door with Keep on the phone. William is momentarily stunned to see me standing there because suddenly the door opens. In fact, I was making a phone call in front of William's house.
Mom, why are you here?
I told you I was going. You are still so careless not locking the front door. Excuse me for disturbing you. I was going inside, and there was William and a strange woman. And who is she?
Don't come in here out of the blue. There's a lot going on here.
Why is she holding my grandson? When I asked him a lot of questions about what was going on, he scratched his head. Then he looked at me like he had made up his mind to do something.
I was going to tell you later. This is my new wife.
Huh? What about Taylor? She's in her last month of pregnancy, right? William replied, slurring his words. She went back to her father's house. Her father passed away, so I'm sure she doesn't have her father's house anymore.
Oh, was it?
I gulped closer to William and gave him a strong look. I didn't expect you to kick out your pregnant wife when her father passed away. Even as my own son, I am pathetic.
Mom, did you have a dream or something?
For God's sake, stop fooling around. We know you left Taylor in the mountain. In fact, the woman in the park who was in her last month of pregnancy was definitely Taylor. As we talked after we left the convenience store that day, she finally told me everything that had happened. By the way, she's at our house now. William clicked his tongue and began to make excuses.
Taylor was the first one to cheat on me. That's not my baby anyway.
He hatefully insisted. So he kicked Taylor out and went on a new path for himself, but he became deeply involved with another woman here. Let's do a DNA test to see which side of the story is correct. I took out a cotton swab, which I had been sent by a private testing laboratory. He just refused, shaking his head impatiently. So I gently removed a strand of hair that had fallen on William's shoulder. I'll get your toothbrush too, just in case.
Stop it. You're crossing a line.
Shut up. If Taylor is having your baby, I'll report you to the police. You're ready for that. He didn't seem to know that leaving a pregnant woman in the mountains in the middle of winter was a crime. Despite the terrible thing she had done, William asked me to calmly and peacefully clear up the situation. I think it's the best to ask her what she wants to do with you. I walked to the front door, opened it, and invited Taylor and my husband, who were waiting in the car, into the house. My husband, with his heavy footsteps zipping by, and Taylor, with her devilish face, came in. I guess William had not expected these two to be here with me. Every time Taylor took a step to close her, William began to back away little by little, with sweating.
Hi, Taylor, thank God you're okay.
Don't be silly. I'm not going to forgive you for framing me and putting even my baby in danger.
But you're okay now, so it's all done, right?
Are you mocking me? Do you know how I felt when I finally had to climb down from the foot of the mountain to the park for days to protect my baby?
Taylor was invited by William to go for a drive about a month ago, and as she was taking in the scenery, she was left behind. She managed to get to a place where there was a park, but she was afraid that William would do something to her again, so she couldn't even go home. So she had started living in the park, where there was a public tap water and toilets. Moreover, Taylor's father had passed away 2 months ago, so she had no family home to rely on. Just thinking about how inconsolable she must have been was enough to make my heart ache and tighten. To top it off, she had been told by William that we had assumed and furious Aptu that Taylor had cheated on him and had a child. So he even told her that if she found out from us, he said we would be sent to the hell. That's why she tried to run away from me instead of asking for help when she saw me. Explain why you did such a terrible thing to her.
If I tell you, will you stop reporting to the police?
Well, I'll think about it. Come on, tell me now. After hearing me yelling at him and seeing my husband glare at him, William opened his heavy mouth, as if he thought he could no longer get away with it.
My new wife and I met again at a high school reunion 7 months ago and became very close. And we also got a baby. It's fate, isn't it?
That's no reason to dump Taylor.
My new wife is the same age as me, but Taylor is 3 years older. Plus, her father is the president of the company, so eventually, I can take over.
Not only that, they were told that Taylor's baby would be a girl. New wife's baby is a boy, so after his son becomes president, he can be entrusted with the company as his successor.
By the way, I divorced Taylor right after and remarried with my new wife, so it's already too late.
I don't remember writing the divorce papers.
I wrote it for you.
He said so proudly. That's a crime, forgery of official documents.
What? Really?
Even though he is my own child, I can't just let such an idiot go on like this. You're just piling sin on top of sin, aren't you? That's seriously disgusting.
I've told you everything I know, so don't go to the police.
I'm so over with you. Don't have anything to do with this ever again. As long as he didn't have to deal with the police, he was unmoved by my words and replied flatly, "Do as you please." Moreover, he is unaware of his own father, who has been silent behind Taylor's back the whole time, glaring at him with a horrified look on his face. For William, money and status must be more important than anything else right now. We were all aghast at her lack of remorse, but we went out of our way to give him the best information we had on the matter. The company your new wife's father will soon go out of business. Is that okay for you?
Huh?
My husband used to work with that company before he retired. His old coworker told us about it.
Oh, well,
I'm amazed at how you've managed to turn around a debt-ridden company. When William said it's impossible, my husband replied, "I heard it from someone I trust, so I'm sure." Then William asked to his new wife, "No, it's not true. It can't be, can it?" he repeatedly asked her. But she remained downcast and did not reply. That attitude was probably the best proof of all.
For now, give me back my savings that you took from me by accusing me of cheating on you, and my father's life insurance policy.
the savings is our joint property, right?
I saved it since I was a little girl, before we were married, so it can't be community property. There's about $25,000, right?
Sighing loudly, he muttered with a potty mouth, "I've spent all of it." Taylor said, "I'll get it back no matter what," and she was grilling William. William was so shocked by the surprise truth. "And William, you can't get the life insurance money for Taylor's father because you are not a member of the family in the court." After further prodding, His body began to tremble slightly. Then he turned his frustration toward his new wife.
How dare you and lie to me? My dream of becoming president has been shattered. What are you going to do about it?
She replied to William, "It's your fault that you've got scammed," and an ugly argument began. As they were cursing each other, she revealed, "My father's company is about bankruptcy, so I was looking for a man to support me at the reunion." She revealed. There she met William again and got pregnant, so she thought things had gone according to plan. They are both quite black-hearted. In a sense, they are similar. It means they may be a perfect couple. However, I was fed up with watching them argue any longer, so I clapped my hands loudly. "Okay, that's enough. Hey, were you giving birth prematurely?"
No. My baby born on the due date.
"I'm not asking you, William. You can't have a baby this early. It's normal for a baby to be born in about 10 months. William said, "What?" Then he took out his phone from his pocket and started to check if it was really true. Then, after he realized something, and he glared at his new wife.
Don't tell me you lied to me. Who is the father of that baby?
She bit her lip and decided to remain silent. "I guess you guys are who need the DNA test." I handed William a cotton swab that had been sent to me by the testing laboratory. As soon as he put the swab near the baby, she quickly moved the child away from William. His expression of despair was on his face.
It can't be true.
Seeing is believing. It's not necessary to have an examination. You two should pay Taylor $10,000 each for the affair. He looked surprised at my words this time, and his eyes rolled back in his head.
Wait, why?
Of course. I'm going to add a fee for let Taylor feel the pain and suffering. And I'll also charge you $5,000 per month for child supporting until the baby turns 20.
Wait a minute. I'm going to be in debt.
As soon as he heard the specific amount, sweat dripped down his forehead. You're just paying for everything you've done. Oh, but before that, I gotta go to the police to report.
Hey, wait. You said you wouldn't turn me into the police if I told you everything.
I've changed my mind. Sorry. He was so reluctant to be caught by the police that William knelt down on the spot and got down on his knees to me.
Mom, please. Forgive me.
You're apologizing to the wrong person.
Taylor, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
He quickly turned around and rubbed his head on the floor, but there was no way Taylor would nod at such flippant words. And behind Taylor, my husband, who looked like a demon, was glaring at William the whole time. Then he began to make an unexpected remark.
Dad, you are a man, too. You must have had an affair or two, right?
The husband brought his face close to William's and wrinkled his brows as he said, "I don't have any. I'm not a piece of shit like you," he said clearly, in a low voice. Realizing that no one was on his side, William slumped there helplessly.
Please, somebody help me.
It's really serious crime for putting Taylor and her baby in danger.
I'll change my mind.
I won't listen you anymore. Oh, I see a red light. Thanks for calling me at the right time, honey. William thought I had not called the police yet, so he's surprised that his eyes widened to their widest extent. The new wife tried to escape, but my husband caught her with a quick movement. "I won't let you go. You are the one who need to reflect yourself as well." As expected, they could not resist and, realizing that it was over, handed over the custody of them to the police. Later, After being interviewed by the police, they were charged with a very serious crime, as they had conspired to put Taylor and her baby in harm's way. In addition, he was charged with forging divorce papers. With the help of a lawyer, William's house was sold, and all the loan is gone. She made her son promise to pay her a total of $30,000 in alimony for the affair and emotional distress, plus Taylor's deposit of $25,000, plus child support for the child born, $5,000 per month each. The new wife was charged the same amount as compensation for the affair and emotional distress. Her father's company went bankrupt very quickly, so when both of them are out of the house, they will be paid for whatever work they do. Oh, yes. The new wife was pregnant the baby of another classmate, and her own father was to raise it. I am glad the child is not unhappy. Taylor had a beautiful baby girl after that. My husband and I discussed the matter and decided to adopt Taylor and have her live with us. Our family is enjoying our days together, struggling to take care of the baby in our home filled with the sound of the baby's cheerful voice.